every single time I talk about Stephen Miller, I don't bring up his religion. Now, I do believe that they're an embarrassment to Jews. They certainly don't represent Jews. They're vile people. I've said this about Stephen Miller and his wife, Katie Miller. They are just some of the worst people in Donald Trump's administration, and that's saying something because there's a lot of really bad people that work for Donald Trump. I've said this about Stephen Miller before, and I've said his verbiage and the words he uses is very similar to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. And if you're going to marry somebody like that, I think that says a lot about yourself, too. I've never been a fan of Katie Miller either, who is so desperate for attention and craving to be a popular podcaster. She is a talentless nitwit is what she is. So she made an appearance on Piers Morgan's show yesterday. And obviously she's desperate for media attention. But she absolutely imploded on Piers. Now, say what you want about Cenk from the Young Turks. I am not a big fan of Cenk, and I think he has, in some ways, changed and sold out. I don't always agree with him, but I have to say I am completely 100% on his side here. Now, what was Cenk doing? Well, he was debating her on Israel, because I do believe that there are some people in society like Katie Miller and like Ben Shapiro, where if Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow decided to bomb every country in the world for no reason, they would still support the Israeli government. So these people have zero credibility. And while I don't always agree with Cenk, I do agree with him here, and I think his criticism of Katie Miller and her husband Stephen Miller were right on point. So listen to this. Cenk never brought up her religion, not once in this verbal sparring match. And Katie Miller, being the snowflake imbecile that she is, claims that Cenk is somehow being anti-Semitic towards her. This is mesmerizing. Have a listen to this.
Totally lying. It's very normal for a Miller to be completely and utterly lying.
Quite frankly, I'm really sick and tired of this racist, bigoted rhetoric that comes from people like you against my husband, against my family, and my children. I am raising Jewish children in this country.
Who brought your children into this? What a weirdo.
Piers, I'm going to be done with this if you're going to allow racist and bigoted attacks against one of your commentators just for the sake that he will not
hang on.
speaking.
Casey, to be clear, Casey, to be clear,
he inserted a line that says the Miller's lie. Is that not coded language for therefore we are Jewish? Come on, Piers, where are you?
What?
Where are you standing?
God, you're so
Casey,
pathetic.
if I can speak.
Everything's your shield is
speak,
anti-Semite. Fire him, cancel him, cancel him, America. Oh my God, Israel's feelings have been hurt. Why don't you work for this country?
Can we try and get
this country?
Yeah, you are a guest on my show, and I appreciate you coming on the show, and I like you coming on the show.
And I'm saying the two other guests on the show are welcome to participate in these anti-Semitic attacks that is so permeating on CNN and MSNBC.
This is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I have to jump in here. Somebody criticizing you personally is not an anti-Semitic attack. If somebody says that you are lying, that is not an attack on Jews. That is an attack on you. And just stop hiding behind identity. This is all the snowflake behavior that the right is supposedly criticizing the left for, that you're simply repeating here. Yes, Stephen Miller is a destructive force in American society. That is not an attack on Jews. That is no reference to his identity. This is an attack on him individually, and just deal with the merits of this case.
150%. Well said there. So there you see it again. This is what the left, they claim that the left are the snowflakes. They claim that the left are all about cancel culture. They claim that, we're the ones, right? And then you see Katie Miller there, who is obviously a real ignorant, stupid human being and vile. Just her and her husband. They're vile people. They're absolutely, they're claiming that Cenk somehow is anti-Semitic because he called her a liar, which, by the way, she is, and so is Stephen Miller. They're vile human beings. That has nothing to do with their religion. There are vile human beings with all shapes and sizes and colors in the crayon box. I don't care what your religion is. There are vile people everywhere in society. That had nothing to do with her religion. Now, if Cenk had said, you're a liar because you're Jewish, which, by the way, I don't think he would ever say, then she would have a point. But that wasn't brought up at all. Her religion wasn't involved in this at all. Every single time I talk about Stephen Miller, I don't bring up his religion. Now, I do believe that they're an embarrassment to Jews. They certainly don't represent Jews. They're vile people. But somehow she makes it like if you call her a liar, you're attacking her religion? You're an anti-Semite? You want to talk about somebody who really made herself look really stupid. She did a pretty good job of it. Cenk destroyed her in this debate, and I think anybody would because she's very stupid. She's full of hatred, just like her husband, and they're both idiots, and they're both very dangerous. Unfortunately, Stephen Miller's in a very powerful position within the Donald Trump administration, but she is an awful human being. No wonder why she married Stephen Miller. They both have a lot in common. They're both vile idiots. That's what they are. But this is the part of this exchange that is really, really troublesome to me. Because this was the point in this conversation, for lack thereof, where Katie Miller threatens Cenk. Now, what did Cenk do in this conversation? Just debated her, won the debate, called her a liar, which she is, and she looked really dumb, because she is. He destroys her in a debate, and I want you to listen to how pathetic and how disturbing this is, because I want you to listen very closely. This was her retort after being completely embarrassed on the Piers Morgan show. This is par for the course for what these MAGA Republicans do. If you get embarrassed and you're proven to be a complete imbecile, what do? You go the route of racism and bigotry. She wants him deported. By the way, before I play this audio, I just want to say this. Cenk was brought into this country when he was 8 years old. He is a legal citizen and has been for a very long time. But because Stephen Miller's wife, Katie, got completely embarrassed, and she's an absolute racist, bigot snowflake, I want you to listen to this audio of what she had to say when Cenk continued to embarrass her. Have a listen to this.
Hold on. So what happened in the Holocaust and all the pogroms were disgusting. That doesn't mean that...
She just said, if you were able to hear that, we need to check your citizenship. She is directly making a threat to Cenk, who, again, came into this country when he was 8 years old. He is absolutely a legal citizen here. But because he was destroying her, she went the route of, we're going to check your citizenship. This is what these right-wing turds do on social media every day. I'm getting into it with Will Chamberlain again today, another moron who refuses to do this show again because I exposed what a racist bigot he is. So many of these Charlie Kirk supporters, by the way, so many of these people that were friends with Charlie Kirk are such racist bigots. It's so sickening. And she says we should check his citizenship. That's what they do with Mehdi Hasan, too. And listen, I think I was wrong about Mehdi Hasan. A year or so ago, I thought he might be anti-Semitic. I was wrong about that. I don't think he is. I don't always get it right. I have my opinions. Sometimes I'm wrong. I have a lot of respect for Mehdi Hasan. I don't think he's anti-Semitic at all. I think he's, just like many of us, are very frustrated with the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu, and he has a right to be. I don't think he's anti-Semitic at all. I've changed my position on Mehdi Hasan, and I agree with him most of the time, almost all the time. And every single time Mehdi Hasan makes a great point, what do these MAGA idiots do, these racist turds? Will Chamberlain, many people on the far right, they tweet to Mehdi Hasan, you should be denaturalized and deported. It's pure racism. It's pure bigotry. And what that means is we can't beat you on the merits of the argument, so we're just going to make racist statements. Mehdi Hasan is an extremely intelligent person. He's not somebody that you want to debate. I would love to have a conversation with him. I don't think it'd be much of a debate because I agree with him on almost everything. But that's what these people on the right are doing. Why am I bringing up Mehdi Hasan? Because this is exactly what Katie Miller is doing. Cenk absolutely embarrasses you and destroys you on the Piers Morgan show, so you don't have any arguments. You look like a clown, so what do? You do what your husband does. Attack him because he's not a white Christian nationalist. You better check your status. That's what these MAGA Republicans do. When they don't have an argument, that's what they do. They attack.